Hi everyone, my name's Aaron McGuire, and I saw a whole bunch of movies as part of the New York Film Festival, and now I'm going to talk about them. I got to see a documentary called MLK/FBI, which really showed me how little I actually knew about Martin Luther King Jr. But just in this movie's 90-minute runtime, I feel like I learned so much about him and how the Red Scare of the previous decade affected the civil rights movement. The documentary is made up of archival footage and recently declassified FBI documents, and it's a really damning documentary revealing some of the FBI's darkest moments in its whole history. And it shows some of the insane measures that they took for the sake of national security. It's all messed up, it's really unsettling and frustrating to watch. The whole story this documentary tells is so incredible and so fascinating, and I thought the presentation of all of this was really good as well. It's a really well-made documentary with great editing and great music, but besides being an interesting and concise source of information, my opinion of the film doesn't really go far beyond that. I feel like this documentary would feel right at home in a classroom setting, and I'm sure if I saw this in middle school or high school, I would really love it. If I had any issues with this movie, it's mainly that the people who narrate the footage of the film, you never see their faces and you only hear the narration, so it's kind of hard to tell who's even speaking. But overall, I definitely enjoyed it, and I feel like this should be shown in every class that talks about Martin Luther King Jr. MLK/FBI gets a wide release in January 2021, and I definitely recommend checking it out. And I'm giving MLK/FBI a 7 out of 10. The next movie I saw as part of the festival was On the Rocks, which is probably my least favorite movie of the entire festival. The film was directed by Sofia Coppola and stars Bill Murray and Rashida Jones, and that sounds like such a promising trio. I was really looking forward to seeing this movie, but I feel like I got nothing out of it emotionally. The editing is okay, the cinematography is fine, screenplay was incredibly shallow, stale, and unoriginal, and almost every single joke fell flat for me. And what makes these comedic scenes even worse are the 5 seconds of silence that follow after every single joke, so the audience has time to laugh. And I want to make it clear that I don't really see this as the actor's faults. I do think it is mainly just because of the unpolished screenplay. Bill Murray is still as cynical and charismatic as ever, even though his character is very unlikable. He's been able to pull off this character for decades, and he feels right at home with this role. I also love Rashida Jones, but I feel like she wasn't really given much to work with this movie. Nothing felt emotional, nothing felt original, nothing felt unique. It felt like this movie had nothing to offer and nothing new to say, and I feel like I just watched nothing. And even though this isn't one of the worst movies I've seen technically, it felt like a movie I'd seen a million times before, and I feel like I would have gotten as much out of it if you just pointed me to a blank wall and I stared at it for an hour and a half. It's in select theaters and drive-ins right now, and it'll be released on Apple TV Plus on October 23rd. But yeah, if you can't tell, I despise this movie. Hi there everyone, it's Aaron from the future here while editing this video, and I just want to say that I recently watched Mark Kermode's review of this movie, and I really liked his analysis of the film, and I think I know better what this movie was going for. I think Bill Murray's character is a lot more interesting than I gave it credit for, and I appreciate how this movie approaches generation gaps. However, I still find this movie painfully unfunny. It's definitely not my style of comedy, and there's some cheesy crap in this movie. I can see how this movie will resonate with a lot of people. I definitely understand that better now, but I'm not one of those people still. And now back to the video. And I'm giving On the Rocks a 4 out of 10. And the last movie I'm going to talk about in this video is a Spanish movie called Isabella. And boy, it was something. The story follows a young woman who auditions for a role, and she has her friend help her rehearsing and learning the lines. And that's kind of about it for the story. It feels like a lot of focus was put into the screenplay and the cinematography. The cinematography is really gorgeous, and I loved a lot of the performances in this movie. But it feels like it was just a very simple short film that was stretched out to be feature length. I feel like this movie could have been just as impactful as a short film, but instead we have extended scenes of people just doing stuff. And the non-linear story structure I felt was more frustrating than anything, making the film's simple story more needlessly complicated than it needs to be. It's very slow and quiet, and I don't really know what I was supposed to get out of it. I definitely didn't love this movie. I did enjoy the performances and the cinematography. It is a very beautiful movie, but I watched it, I enjoyed it enough, and then it ended, and I'm probably not going to think about this movie much more ever again. It was definitely well made from a technical standpoint. It was different, and it felt like it had something to say, but I personally didn't get a whole lot out of it. And I'm going to give Isabella a 5 out of 10. Well, anyway, thank you all for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you all for existing. You're all important, you're all loved, and I love you. those are all the movies I'm going to talk about in this video for the New York Film Festival. I just have 5 more to go. We're going to talk about all the movies and more videos coming soon. Yeah, and I hope you watch some of the ones that I like. Ooh, I think I'm going to end the video here. Goodbye.